Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 is a movie directed by Takao Okawara and was released in December 1993. The movie is the fifth in the Heisei series, following up 1992's Godzilla vs. Mothra. This movie also shares continuity with 1991's Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Opening on the salvaged remains of Mecha King Ghidorah, the newly created G-Force organization reverse engineers the cyborg to construct Mechagodzilla. Also on Adenoa Island, a research team discovers a large egg as well as Rodan. Rodan is seemingly trying to capture the egg for itself, only for Godzilla to show up and the two to fight over the egg. Godzilla wins the fight, but the egg is taken away by the research team. Later in the movie, the egg hatches, revealing that it's actually a Godzillasaurus inside. The research team creatively name it Baby Godzilla. Just as the egg hatches, Godzilla arrives and starts heading towards Kyoto. Mechagodzilla is dispatched in order to combat Godzilla. The fight starts going in Mechagodzilla's favor until Godzilla is able to pull out a Godzilla move and win the fight somehow. Godzilla is once again unsuccessful in obtaining the egg, now Godzillasaurus, and proceeds to leave, letting the humans continue to study Baby Godzilla. Through research of Baby Godzilla's anatomy, it is discovered that Godzilla has a secondary brain that, if destroyed, would kill or immobilize Godzilla. The songs of psychic children cause Rodan to wake up and recover from its injuries and turn into Fire Rodan, who then flies straight to Japan and captures Baby Godzilla. Mechagodzilla is dispatched to intercept Rodan and stop his attack. When Godzilla shows up, the plan is put into action and Mechagodzilla kills Godzilla. Rodan then sacrifices his life so Godzilla can win the fight against Mechagodzilla and save the child. Godzilla and Baby Godzilla then disappear off into the ocean. This film holds a very, very, very special place in my heart, because this was the very first Godzilla movie I ever saw as a kid. I vividly remember walking down my basement stairs of my old house. My dad was watching the first fight between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla in this movie, and I was interested in the series after that, and I ended up picking up my first figure, which is this guy right here. I still have him to this day. Having said that, this movie is rather controversial. There are two camps with this movie. You either love it, and you also love the Heisei series, or you don't really like it, and you're not too big on the Heisei series. Unfortunately, I'm in the latter camp on this. You'll note in my plot synopsis that I mostly cover the monster plot of the film, rather than the human plot of the film. And there's a reason for that. Most of the concepts and themes of this movie come off as extremely half-baked. The biggest theme that I've been able to determine from this movie, they literally spell it out for you at the end of the movie, is life versus artificial life.
There's proof for all that life always conquers.
Life, sir?
Yeah, life. Against artificial life.
The movie's trying to jam so many things down your throat, from the Baby Godzilla subplot, which also connects to the Mechagodzilla subplot of the film, the Rodan plot that's going on, and the Garuda plot with Aoki. The movie also introduces G-Force and has to set all that up, and it's doing Mechagodzilla at the same time. It's a mess. The movie should just be about Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. That's what this film should be about. This movie's effects work was done by Koichi Kawakita. Kawakita started his run on the Godzilla series with 1989's Godzilla vs. Biollante. His work in this movie is rather mixed. Some shots look really cool and really inventive, such as the shot of the Pteranodon robot leaving Super Mechagodzilla. But most shots are way too wide and have way too much of the top and bottom visible. A prime shot for comparison is the beam lock between Mechagodzilla and Godzilla in this film, compared to a very similar beam lock in the original. In the original, we are behind Mechagodzilla at about a 3/4 angle, with Godzilla in the background, but you still can clearly see both in the shot. In this film, it's a flat wide shot taken from slightly above them, making them really look like actors in a suit on a miniature stage. The design for Rodan looks really good, and I genuinely love the design in this movie. I like that Rodan's smaller than most monsters in this movie. He's a puppet rather than a guy in a suit, which is what they went back to in Godzilla Final Wars. Godzilla looks pretty average. He is just a standard Godzilla for the Heisei era. Mechagodzilla in this movie has some major issues. Personally, I prefer the duller patinaed colored, sharper lines of the original Mechagodzilla than the more shiny rounded edges future Mechagodzilla that you get in this film. The music in this film is conducted by Akira Ifukube. This was his third film back after the long hiatus of the Showa gap, and it's pretty good. It is very monotonous though. The score tends to reuse the same few tracks over and over again. They play the Godzilla theme a lot in this movie. For a fun thing about this movie, here is Adventure Godzillaland, a television show that's mostly lost, but was used to market several of the Heisei films. Only one episode survives though, and it happens to feature a scene of Godzilla and Mechagodzilla fighting in a newsroom. Overall, this movie is just okay. It's not a masterpiece, but it's not a complete mess either. Somewhere in between. So, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next week, where we jump back to the Showa series with 1964's Mothra vs. Godzilla.